Hey YouTube, Rico Knows here. Going to talk to you guys about the 2025 NFL Draft. And this video, I'll be talking about the New York Giants. But before I go over the Giants, just want to remind you guys, go to YouTube, search Rico Knows, go to the homepage, click on the playlist tab. You will find the 2025 NFL Draft Reviews and Assessments playlist where I break down every single team. I've already broken down 23 other teams. So please, go learn about all the players. I've been doing this for about 3 years on digits for you. So you can go back, check the track record, see how accurate I am, do all that stuff. I don't care. Here we go. New York Giants made 7 draft picks. Let's go. So in the first pick, they take Abdul Carter, 3rd overall, out of Penn State. And if you read any reviews and assessments anywhere, they think this is a smashing success of a pick. He looks like an impact player, and they're always going to write he's the next Micah Parsons, which I think is absurd. I think the only reason they're mentioning Micah Parsons is because they both went to Penn State. That's the reality of the situation. When you look at a guy like Abdul Carter, before this last year, he was a linebacker, and he was an all-conference linebacker. Don't get me wrong. He was an all-conference linebacker. But if you go and look at that all-conference team for the last 2 years, I don't care. Go to the Big Ten all-conference team, linebackers. You're going to see undrafted players that were also all-conference with him. Because being all-conference in the Big Ten at a linebacker doesn't mean you're a draft pick. Now, I thought Abdul Carter was probably a 3rd or 5th round draft pick. The NFL doesn't really value linebackers like that, like you would think. But once you become an edge rusher and you start looking like a problem, people start anointing you a certain way, and they start saying that guy's effective, he's amazing, we got to get him in here, he can play anywhere. Now, when I look at the Giants, I think their defensive line is one of their strengths. I think pass rushing is one of their strengths. And they've spent an absorbent amount of money on certain free agents, and they just converted one to like a $16 million payout from the owner. And if you don't know what that means, that means he gets all his money up front. So I don't necessarily know where Abdul Carter fits in the rotation. Obviously, you're the 3rd overall pick. You're going to be in the rotation. You're going to be a starter. You're going to be on the field. But I don't know if it was necessary. And there were other positions of need, and they didn't feel like drafting those positions of need, which is absurd to me, if you ask me. Okay. And then when you get to the 2nd round, they go and take Jackson Dart. And apparently that's a position of need. It's not. It's not at all. They already signed 2 free agents this offseason, and they're going to be starting, or at least one of them will be starting. And Jackson Dart, his path to starting is years away. And I get all these messages. Rico, Tom Brady said a quarterback should wait a year. Yeah, Tom Brady's not the first person to say that, guys. Plenty of people have said that. They've been saying that since Troy Aikman played his first year and they went 1-15. They've been saying that since Peyton Manning went out there and led the league in interceptions. Like, we understand waiting a set number of years or time frame is perfect for a quarterback to develop and get better. We got it. But you know what this is about? This is about prolonging Daboll. Daboll is known as a quarterback guy. So you finally get your quarterback in the draft, and now you get to stick around, and no one wants to fire you because you might have drafted the franchise quarterback. We're going to find out. Well, how long are we going to find out? We got years. We just bought ourselves 4 more years at the helm with this draft pick. That's what this is. This is about protecting your employment. It's nuts. It doesn't make sense. Your first 2 picks in this draft, and neither one of them is an every down player. Neither one of them impacts your win-loss total for a 4-win team, 3-win team, whatever they were last year. That's absurd, man. Don't tell me you can't get players that are better than the people on your team. There's a defensive tackle from Michigan better than anybody you got. And you didn't draft him. Instead, you get a guy that's going to be in the rotation. The first 2 picks for me don't feel like franchise-altering picks. They don't feel like starters. They don't feel like it. They just don't. I got a 1-year production guy at Abdul Carter, and you're all convinced he's the greatest ever. And don't tell me quarterbacks need to sit. I just saw Jaden Daniels play out of his mind. Don't do that. There are success stories that defy what you're saying. You might have 1 or 2 anecdotal things where somebody sits down and just proves everybody wrong. I got it. Oh, what about Jordan Love? What about him, bro? What about Trey Lance? He just sat him there forever, and everybody just believed that was the right pick for the longest time. Terrible pick. One of the worst picks of all time. When you think about the currency spent to get him. Yeah, this is silly. I don't like these first 2 picks at all. Darius Alexander, very dominant against the run. He's very dominant. He played in the MAC. He played at Toledo. I like Darius Alexander. He's a good player. Here's what I want to say to you guys. If you ever see a defensive tackle in the A-gaps that is dominating in the MAC, you need to be very skeptical on whether or not he can do that somewhere else. The MAC is one of the lowest levels of FBS football there is. Them and Conference USA are arguably the two lowest levels. I've watched 1,000-yard rushers in the MAC not be able to play anywhere else. I've watched 1,000-yard receivers in the MAC not get invited to the combine. I've watched so many players not translate. Now, they've had some good defensive backs move over, and there's been some success cases here and there, but if you find a defensive tackle dominating in the A-gaps against the run in the MAC, just go look for one in the Big Ten. Go look for one in the SEC. Just go pick one of those guys. And there was one. And he was available at number 3 overall. If you needed to address your defensive line or your interior defensive lineman, you could have done it in the first round. Then you could have got an edge rusher in the third. And it would have been much the same. It really would have. Now, I know Giants fans are telling me these are generational players and they got generational impact and all this shit. You guys don't know what the hell you're talking about. Nah. You told me the same thing with Thibodeau. You told me the same thing with a bunch of other players. And you were wrong. And let me do this for you guys. When you see a draft class for an individual team, I want you to know that it is monumentally rare, and I mean monumentally rare, for all the draft picks to pan out the way you envision as a fan. You justify every draft pick. Oh, this addresses this depth. This addresses this needs. Oh, he's a special teams player. He's a this. He's that. He's this. The way you guys paint the picture for all these draft picks every year for your team, it never works out that way. I think in my entire lifetime, I've seen one draft class pan out completely with all 7 draft picks or 8 draft picks. In my entire lifetime. I'm 42 years old, bro. I've been following the draft since 89, 88, 89 time frame. Professionally, I've been following this thing since the year 2000. I got a quarter century of studying draft classes, and they don't pan out like that. So when you look at a draft class of your favorite team, I want you to identify where the mistakes are. Because one of those guys is a mistake. At a minimum, one. I would say half. Somebody's not going to pan out the way you envision, and that be a first-round pick or a second-round pick for sure. If you don't believe me, go back. Go to 2025 or go to 2015. Go back 10 years and look at the first round. You can't name all first-rounders. You can't even name them all. Go look at the second round. You can't name them all. People are drafting mistakes every year, and you will not acknowledge that it's your team. You will not concede that at all. Rico doesn't know is your favorite phrase. I'll be right here, buddy. I'll be right here. Shout out to Cam Skattebo being drafted next. I think it was in the 4th round. Shout out to Cam, friend of the channel. I made videos on Cam Skattebo 3 years ago. I was the first person to ever make videos on Cam Skattebo. I'm convinced. There's nobody before me. He was at Sacramento State. I watched a game, him against UIW. It was the semifinals of the FCS playoffs. And I remember watching it, and I went, yo, that's Lindsey Scott Jr., the quarterback for UIW. For UIW. And they went into, like, quadruple overtime. It was the game of the year. And I remember, it's on YouTube. You can watch the whole thing right now. And I remember watching this guy, Cam Skattebo, Marcus Fulcher. They had a bunch of guys. And I just remember thinking, that team is loaded. Those are some real players. Fell in love with Marty Mapow, who was a 3rd-round pick for the Patriots. And I fell in love with what Cam Skattebo was doing. Then he hit the transfer portal, and he goes to Arizona State. So before he ever plays it down for Arizona State, I make a video. And I tell you guys, go watch this young man from Pittsburgh. I think he rushed for 2,800 yards his senior year in high school, and he had no FBS offer because nobody's recruiting Northern California. Shout out to Sac State. They're doing it now. But this is a great young man. Dominant. Second, third leading rusher in the country last year. I think he went for 1,700 yards if you include the playoffs and the bowl games and everything. Cam Skattebo carried that team. Put him on his back, and he was the leader of that team. Amazing stuff. They need 3 yards. They need first downs. First downs lead to touchdowns. He's doing everything. I love the young man. And for him to be the yin and yang in that backfield and be that guy that's going to carry the load, I like it a lot. I think he's a great draft pick. I'm cool with it. I don't want to hear about he's too slow. He's not going to work out in the NFL. Whatever, dude. I saw the guy dominate on Saturdays. And the dudes he dominated on Saturdays, they're all in the NFL now. So let's keep going. All right, next pick, Marcus Embo. This boy, Marcus Embo, had some injuries issues while at Purdue. I think he's a versatile offensive lineman. I don't like the pick. I'm allowed to say that. I don't like the pick. I don't like it. Okay. Then in the 7th round, they have back-to-back picks. I think these 2 picks have a lot of intrigue and a lot of upside for me. Thomas Fidone, tight end, huge kid, coming out of high school, higher ranked than Brock Bowers. Really was. Goes to Nebraska, deals with a lot of injuries, but the potential to be great is there. And he played a pretty solid year. I just think that he can snatch balls out of the air. He's a mismatch nightmare if you're trying to man him up with a safety or a linebacker. You don't stand a chance. That dude's big. He's athletic. There's something there, so I like him a lot. And then the final pick in the draft for them is a total slam dunk for me. I think he makes this team. I know a lot of 7th-round picks get released and cut and signed to the practice squad. I'm calling my shot. Corey Black makes the team. Corey Black is 6'2", 205 pounds-ish, gets to the ball, plays well, big, strong, fast, did not get invited to the combine. I don't care. I love kids who don't go to the combine, show up to their pro day with a chip on their shoulder and dominate. That's what I like. So shout out to Corey Black. That kid's something nice. I've been watching film. He's a multi-year starter at Oklahoma State. I like him a lot. So all in all, with this draft with the Giants, I think they went after guys that they believe in. That's more power to them. I like Jackson Dart. I think he's a good player. I don't think the Giants needed him. That's how I feel about it. I think they went after some players that I shake my head and I don't get it. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Good luck, Giants fans. Cope.